Total Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Palace Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.
Good afternoon, it's Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B. Running a little behind, had a bathroom break, but I am here.
Out there, here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jeremy Colt.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I know, it is pretty delusional lately. I hear you. It's just crazy. I've got the train rolling. I had to use the bathroom. That's why I was out of the other comments. But at the same time, here I am. Let's talk a little Lions football. Broderick Martin activated to the 53 last night. Iffy was put on the IR with a 4 to 6 week designation on it. So that means he'll either be back in 4 weeks or he'll be back in 8. And 8 puts him back at the playoff. So that's some good news. You know, he's not out completely. It's not an indefinite IR appointment. So I'm good with that. But one of the things I like about Broderick Martin being added to the 53, and I hope he's dressed this week, because I don't know if you noticed, but when Reeder and Aleem is off the field at the same time, we lose that push from the interior D line, and I think that's something we need. And I think Broderick Martin, by adding a double team taker, because we saw that in his 18 snaps last year, he took on 10 double teams. So he can actually open it up for everybody else when they are off the field. And I think that's very important. It'll help guys like Wingo and Onwuzurike and Smith, all, if he's in there. So I hope he's dressed this week. Do I expect it? I don't know. But we'll see. I'm just glad he's activated. But at the same time, we got a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to be looking up some information for us as we go. I got a little info about the uniforms that will be being worn by the Indianapolis Colts. They're calling it their midnight version. And I'm getting ready to upload that in right now. Glad to see everybody here. That is the midnight version of the Indianapolis Colts uh, jersey. So that's what we're going to see this weekend. They already said last week prior to the game that AR is the one going to be starting, who did have a decent game last week, but he wasn't spectacular. Smash and Grab is going to be in the backfield. Sonic and Knuckles running. After Sundra's, hmm, you know, here we are, 9-1. I have the feeling we're going 10-1. I don't think this game's going to be close. Right now, we are a 7.5 point favorite on the road. Normally, you don't take that bet, but lately, when we've been playing teams with a losing record, we just stomp the mud hole in their butt. We belt the ass. After Sunday, they will call it their nightmare uniform. I love it. So, what's going on? Not a lot. There's not a lot of news coming out. Today's the first day back to practice. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as usual. Yesterday was just walkthroughs, and I didn't see anything about anybody being inactive, so that's a good thing. Mosley will probably get activated next week for the Thanksgiving Day game. And I think that's going to help out with our secondary rotation as well. But let's see. Let's go see what the NFL offensive offensive rankings are right now. Well, we're the third best in yardage. Ooh, Indy's way down there. They are the 21st ranked offense. They have, let's see, a total of 3,528 yards. We have done 3,947 yards. We've done 24-25 through the air and 15-22 on the ground. Indy has done 20-24 in the air and 13-04 on the ground. Now let's go look at defense. The Lions are now the 11th ranked defense, ranked ahead of Chicago and Green Bay. Vikings are a little bit ahead of us. In the Indy, 230, the 28th defense. No, I do not, JBJ. Okay, go ahead and ask, Moonscar. Uh, they might, Michael Huck, absolutely. Is it based week to week on division order? No, it's by wins. It's by wins. Now let's go by points per game. LA Chargers are in first, only giving up 14.5 points per game. Pittsburgh's in second, giving up 16.2. Minnesota's in third at 17 points per game. And the Lions are in fourth at 17.7. In seventh place is Chicago at 18.7. Oh, no, we're in fifth, excuse me. Chicago's still in sixth. Green Bay is in 10th at 21.3. So the defense defenses in the North are pretty fucking wicked, really. We don't give up a lot of points. Only if they throw it to the sidelines. So yeah, every week to week, the division order may change because it's dependent upon wins and losses. But right now, until Green Bay wins and Vikings lose, and I think even if they're tied, Vikings hold the edge over Green Bay. Back-to-back games where Fox gets the day off. I don't know about that. Special teams. Kickoffs were number one in the league for kickoff returns, averaging 34.9 yards per return. Punts were fourth. Indy's 11th on that. Indy's fifth in kick return yards. Turnovers. Chicago and Detroit are tied for third at +9. Green Bay has dropped seventh at +5. We have had 7 total giveaways this year. No, excuse me, 10 total giveaways. And a lot of turnovers. The leading the league is LA Chargers in Washington at only 5 turnovers. Bears and Packers still suck. I wish we could boot the troll. Just saying. Trying to see what else we got. Cincinnati has as many giveaways as us. Baltimore's just ahead of us at 9. Pitt and Chicago are tied at 8. Buffalo at 7. And Washington and Chargers are tied atop the league at 5 giveaways. On takeaways, Buffalo's number 1 at 21. Minnesota's tied at 21. Houston has 20. And that's third place. In fourth place, at a tie, it's Detroit and Green Bay with 19. But point differential, we're leading the league. It's not even close. You take that 17 points away, we're averaging in point differential a 26-point win every time. The next highest offense in the North, and that would be at 9th place would be Green Bay. 11th place is Minnesota. The Bears are down there at 23rd. He'll just create another account, Michael Huck, and he'll find another picture where I don't know where he got it. Pictures I don't even have access to anymore. So that's where we're at. Anzalone injury going to show what we're made of. I think it already did. We missed them for 2.5 quarters and didn't allow a score, Orlando. If that doesn't telling, I think it's huge. I think we might see David Long in the Thanksgiving Day game. I think they're going to let him work his way into the lineup. I think this week it's going to be Jack Campbell with the green dot, and you're going to see a steady diet of Malcolm Rodriguez, Bo Plain, Neiman, and Nowaski at the other position in a heavy rotation, leaning more snaps towards Rodrigo. That's just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. So Kirby Joseph and Jamison Williams are giving away turkeys this week to the fans that need it for Thanksgiving. That's an amazing gesture by them. Yeah, maybe. I think they're going to go with Tommy DeVito, and Tommy DeVito is definitely proven he's a little better than Danny Jones, and I think Von Doom's scared that he's going to win a couple games. You know, we have been doing BTA to every team that has had a losing record so far. Does anybody expect anything different this Sunday? Is it going to be belts to ass again? Tommy Cutlets, yes. So what else do we want to talk about? I mean, Broderick Martin will be into the active. Like I said, it's a 4 to 6 week injury, so that means he'll be either be out 4 weeks or 8 weeks for iffy. I think what they'll do is they'll put him on the 20-day activation after 4 weeks, see where his prognosis and his rehab is on his finger. I heard it's not a normal break. Do Von Doom and Will have a friendly competition on who gets the higher pick? Nope. Panthers already won a game more than the Giants, so they don't care about the pick, which tells me they're running with Bryce Young again next year. I think they're going to want to take the best offensive lineman available to this draft or the best wide receiver. It's going to be one of the two. And quietly, there's a guy that's in his last year of eligibility at Miami that's having one hell of a season so far. And while everybody's lauding Cam Ward, this kid had 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns last year. He has 10 touchdowns this year and 900 yards on 55 receptions. Xavier Restrepo, remember this name? Kid looks good. It took him 85 catches to get 1,000 yards last year, and he's got 855 and over 900, if I remember right. Let me look. I looked him up last night. He's a small, speedy guy. He's 5'10", 100, almost 200 pounds. Yeah, he's got 55 receptions for 934 yards and 10 touchdowns. He's averaging 17 yards a reception. Um, Last season, he had 85 for 1,092 and 6 and 12.8 a reception. He had a long of 77 this year. I like this kid. I'm not saying he'll be first round talent, but don't be surprised if he ends up first round talent after the combine. He's fast. He runs great routes. He has impressive hands. He hasn't fumbled at all in his career. He's a 5-year player. I'm just saying, there's something about this kid I like. So just watch, watch the draft, watch the combine, and you'll see. The only other wide receiver I like this draft really is Travis Hunter. As far as the tight end, it's Colson Loveland. There's a few other good ones out there, but Colson Loveland looks like the real deal. If it wasn't for him, Michigan wouldn't have won 5 games so far. That's fantastic, King SJ. Don't forget, tonight is the NFL Roundtable Talk where we'll go over and I'll give my pick'ems tonight. I see a few people have already put their pick'ems in the chat on the community post, and that's amazing. So don't forget Jim Jackson and others. Get your picks in if you've been in. I think Genty will transition to the NFL because what Boise has is the best O line in that division, and they block like a professional O line. I I don't see a flaw in his game except maybe he's going to have too many miles on him, and he might have a shortened career in the NFL. But Genty has that build. He's breaking tackles against linebackers as well as defensive backs. And linebackers aren't the same as what they used to be. We've gone to this smaller linebacker style with these speedy offenses and an offensive ruling league. So you're going for guys that used to be heavy safeties are now linebackers. Your 6 foot to 6'3", under 230 pounds, 4'5" and faster guys is what linebackers are going to. There's very few of those big, meaty 6'4", 250-pound linebackers like Jack Campbell out there who still have sideline to sideline speed. Let's see what the count is today because I don't even really check it every day, but been doing it more lately. We are still at 533 subs, in which I'm perfectly fine with. I love it. It's because of you guys. But all I ask for is likes on every platform you're on to help the algorithm, to help whoever we're going through and help them get paid. Um, I don't see a drop off against this team. I just don't see it. Everybody was worried that there'd be a drop off versus remember I saw it in the chat. Are we going to bounce back and have a good game versus the Jag? I said it was belt to ass the entire time. I mean, I literally predicted a 30-point win. Yeah, Boss Bailey did play at the wrong time. He was undersized. He was one of those tall, lanky guys, if I remember right, like a 6'2", 220-pound linebacker. He fit perfectly with the new rules in the NFL. Ernie Sims was another one. He was in that 220, 230 range. Fast as shit, but frail. But with the new rules, he'd have lasted longer and possibly not been concussed. So, what do you think of the uni choice, though, for Indy? I actually like the look of it. I'm not saying it's going to help him because God knows I like the look of those red uniforms we ruined the premiere of. That was fun. Let's ruin another home premiere. Ray Lewis to FAU. Cool. Jamal Williams, Jackson. Go look at what Broncos are doing with Josh Reynolds. He's not having a great year there either. And let's talk about this is JMO's breakout year. Do you realize he has the same amount of receptions as last year, less drops, and he has doubled the touchdowns as last year already, and he has 200 more yards. And we're not but halfway through the season, boys. Spielman was considered small. I didn't think Spielman was considered small. I mean, he was almost 250 pounds. He was just short. He wasn't small. I'm talking weight wise small. He may have been short, but that guy was stocky. Saw a huge difference in how they look. I like them. They will be black and blue after we're done with them anyways. Might as well start black and blue. He got sandwiched and still held into the ball was the play that proved it to me. Yeah, I mean, he's been doing a lot of good stuff. AFC Player of the Week last week was Bo Nix in the game where they spanked the Falcons. He was 84.8 completion percentage, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a 145 passer rating. Kind of huge. It was it, especially for a rookie to do that. There's been short linebackers that were good, but that's because they had weight back then and they could hit. Rookie of the year, it's going to go between him or Jaden Daniels to me. Um, I don't see any receivers breaking out really. I haven't seen. Jonathan Brooks is finally healthy enough to take the field this weekend. I'd like to see him do well versus that Chiefs defense. Just saying, get them another loss. I'd like to see Philly drop one this week too. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Right now, they're leading it. I mean, Commanders are in playoff contention right now. Everybody forgets that, and that might knock either the Bears or the Vikings out of playoff contention later on down the road. Because if they stay with only 2 or 3 losses on their record, that means only 2 teams from the North get in. And I said that might happen. No Caleb? LOL. Fuck the Bears. Yeah. Uh, Caleb's getting better, but he's just not great yet. Oh, that's cool. I think in light of players that left the Lions, that some players the Lions look good because the opportunities created by talent on the Lions. Absolutely, Wayne Church. I mean, let's go look at Josh Reynolds' stats this year. I want to see if they compare at all with what he did here in Detroit. So far, he's had 12 catches for 183 yards and a touchdown. He had 40 catches for 608 yards, so he's nowhere near that. Jonah played here, but look what. Yeah, I understand that, but Jonah at the same time was still Herb and Raj podcast. Hey, good to see you, brother. But you compare what Josh Reynolds has done this year for Denver 12, 183, and 1 touchdown when he had 40, 608, and 5 last year with Detroit. Rooting hard for you guys this year. I appreciate it, Herb. Y'all are doing great. I love watching your show when I can. Uh, Lately, I've been live so much, I don't get a chance to watch many podcasts. Uh, but I'll check in after, throw a like up for you because that's what I do. I support everybody that supports me, and you being here proves it. I love it. But what are your takes on this Sunday's game, there, guys? I'd like to get a fan of another team. Thank you, Wayne, for saying that. I do it for you guys, the fans. That's what I do this for. I didn't do it to become famous. I didn't do it to be anything other than a talking head on your TV screen with a face for radio. Got the voice for radio too. If I covered up my face, my voice sounds excellent. Same man. I just happened to be randomly home this week. Fantastic. But ooh, nice. I'll have to come on and be a guest sometime and chat some football with you guys. Break the bread, so to speak. But the saying across the top of our entrance, it takes more heart, more fight, more grit. This team has all of it. Past week, Jags sucked, but I like when the favorite comes out and handles business. I think Detroit's on to Michigan. I bel This Sunday, I believe the Lions rock. I think Goff learned. I don't know what Goff had to learn. Michael Huck, my prediction is pain. Lions in another blowout. We attempted to blitz gaps last week. Let's give credit where credit was due. The Jags O line did their job better than I thought they would. We got plenty of pressure that moved Mac Jones off of his target. They got him out of the pocket and stuff like that. But at the same time, Z Smith got to hit home on the play that mattered most, the one that basically ended the day. I think they like showcasing how versatile they are. They have nailed the draft in recent years. You, right now, it's been the best hit rate of any GM in the NFL, top to bottom. We've had guys making meaningful contributions from day three each year of the draft on this roster. St. Brown was a day three pick. He's a two-time All-Pro at the rate he's going. Panay Sewell, first round pick. You can't miss with that one. It was a no-brainer when he fell. I was like, Sewell's a Lion. Um, I haven't wrote the article. I'm going to be doing that after the show. I posted it on Twitter and on Facebook of the review of the Titans game. I hope everybody enjoys it that sees it. I'm going to also post it on the page here. It's one of the things I love to do. The fact that I only have a high school diploma. I'm a Bama guy, of course, and I thought Gibbs went too high, and that's why I don't do drafts for any team. you know, um, I heard we were taking a running back, and I heard they didn't care about draft position. And so when we traded back to 12 with Arizona so they could take Paris Johnson, who's a dirty player, by the way, um, I had a feeling that it might be a running back there, and everybody was screaming for wide receiver. They were screaming for defensive edge. But we just drafted Hutchinson the year before. I know everybody still wants an edge opposite Hutchinson. Daniel Jeremiah said during the draft that nobody drafted better than the Lions in the past 3 years. He's right. Yeah. And anybody that questions what Brad Holmes does kind of needs to go back and look at the previous draft. I still say this year we're either going left tackle or defensive end in the first round. I think that's where the holes are on this roster, where there isn't a, a bona fide starter if Taylor Decker ever goes down or retires. We got to start grooming that next guy. And with Zadarius Smith here, I know we don't need it, but it would be nice to get a guy that you could have in the rotation that's a lot heavier and we can use him more. I think defensive end might be the pick, especially if we go all the way and have the 32nd pick. I still say if at this point. I expect it, but I still say if. I say if because there's always that chance it doesn't happen. And anybody that thinks that playoff football is not different than regular season football, they didn't pay attention to last year. Because nobody had the Lions go in the NFC Championship game. Everybody said we'd win one and be done. We proved them wrong. Now let's prove them wrong again. Let's get there. No, I don't think Sewell moves over because he's actually rated lower at left tackle than right tackle when he started there. Remember, he started the first half of the season because Decker was injured his rookie year at left tackle. As soon as Decker got healthy, they moved him to right tackle, and he became the best right tackle in the league that year. And he's been the best right tackle, the top 3 every year. I think we're gonna leave him right there. I think that's why Giovanni Manu has been being groomed behind Decker more than he has behind Sewell. They are hoping that he develops into that guy. But with the amount of injuries and the times that Decker has missed, and it's been a little bit more every year because he is older, they may have to either accelerate his development or draft one that's better than him while he develops. This is just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. I wouldn't want to move Penei Sewell because Penei Sewell was actually a right tackle in high school. He became a left tackle his second year at Oregon. So his natural position was right tackle the entire time, un- contrary to unpopular beliefs that have been out there. So I do have some interesting factoids about Jared Goff. Produced 5 games with a completion percentage of 80% or better, the most in a season in NFL history. He's had 4 games with a passer rating of 140 plus, and this ties the most in a season in NFL history with a minimum of 15 attempts. And he got the perfect passer rating again last week at 24 of 29 for 412 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks. I just had a Rams fan complaining about Stafford making boneheaded throws today like a rookie. I said, "Welcome to Lions World, sir." Stafford still does what he did when he had Megatron, and it's costing teams now. What's going on with Laporta? Is it just targets or nothing wrong? Fantasy owners need to calm down. Yeah, fantasy owners do need to calm down. He came into the season with a nagging uh, calf injury, and that limited him in the beginning. And he just injured his shoulder versus the Texans. More than likely, he's going to play this week. If not, it'll be next week. So I'm not too worried. So I think Laporta will be fine. Uh, the Texans game was an anomaly. Uh, I don't even blame God for 3 of the interceptions. Like I said, 2 of them were tip drills. The ball was hit out from behind. You could almost call it a fumble instead of an interception. Oh God, I I think Philly or Washington's roster matches up really good versus Detroit. Washington has the weaker secondary, but I think Philly, talent wise, roster to roster, is pretty close. Right. I understand, but yeah, that comeback win was amazing. Uh, Herb, and I get it. I actually root for the Texans, but I wanted Detroit to win. When you can play that badly and win, it says a lot about your team. Absolutely. Good teams overcome adversity. Great teams win when they shouldn't. At the halftime, they were giving it a 92% chance that the Texans would win. The Texans are an amazing team. But at the same time, this season is going how us fans expected and wanted it to go so far. I think we're ahead of the sticks where we all predicted we'd be at the schedule. Most of us had us with two, maybe three losses at this point at week 10. And when we've shown a weakness, everything else is picked up around us. We had the one off game, and that was at the beginning of the season. Oh, I do expect them to bounce back. It's a sophomore slump. The O line play hasn't been as good for the Texans this year, and quarterback play is only as good as the O line play. That's what I see, Herb. Uh, I hope you agree with that, or Raj, whichever one you are. Nice. You know, and that's the other thing is people don't realize this outside of the Detroit area how many podcasts have actually picked Detroit to be in the Super Bowl this year. I think Philadelphia's biggest problem is Nick Sirianni. He's not as consistent with how he calls his plays and everything else. Uh, I think Washington's biggest problem is their secondary. If Lattimore can finally get healthy enough to play, it improves it a bunch because then they don't have to have that guy that's burnt toast like Eli Apple out there in Emmanuel Forbes. and I love hearing that, Urban Rod. Oh, I got a sneeze coming. Ooh, I hate that. That time of year, cold and flu season. Get your shots, everybody. At least that's what they tell you. I think it's more the coaching is the problem. Kellen Moore is a good offensive coordinator, not great. Vic Fangio is a good defensive coordinator, not great. Uh, it's taken a little bit for that defense to come around. Their secondary is stout as hell, though. Bradbury moving to safety was probably their best move. Cooper DeJean playing the slot and opposite Quinyon Mitchell whenever Slay's out of the lineup, they're doing good. No, I know it's not fair to say. It is hard to match that 1-2 punch. Barkley is like the Derrick Henry of the NFC, though. He's just a different animal. But the fact that Jalen Hurts is too greedy to give him the ball on the goal line is why his touchdown numbers are down. He'll get him there, but he won't let him punch it in. It's ruined a couple parlays. So yeah, I'm a little bitter. Uh, I just don't think Jalen's been as good as he has been. Yeah, and what's funny is he basically moved to Philly. I don't think San Francisco's going to be as good as everybody hopes they'll be. They've been dealing with injuries off and on. Losing Bosa is huge. I think Green Bay might be able to smack him in the mouth this weekend, unless Christian McCaffrey goes off. If Christian McCaffrey goes off, there's no way Green Bay wins. Yeah, I was caught up in the air too. I kind of want to just pick 49ers because it's Green Bay. He has been absolutely, or yeah, San Francisco against Green Bay. I have no confidence in the game either. I think it's a coin flip game. Matter of fact, that's probably what I'm going to do before I do my pick'em tonight. Is grab my hell hell no or fuck yeah pin, flip it, and see which way it goes. Hey, Raj, there is a chance. Right now they're in second place in the East. Uh, I think the only one you got to contend with is Denver coming out of the West because they're right there with a little better record. All you got to do is win what's in front of you, win the games you can. and pray to God that Tua doesn't fall apart on you again, because otherwise it's over. Um, I wish he'd wear the Guardian cap. I really do. I think it would be smart of him to wear it because of how he plays. That first game when he tried to tackle that linebacker on the pick, I was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing, dude?" He got kicked in the head on that play. I was like, "Oh, here we go, pudding time," and I don't mean that bad. So Herb's the one from the podcast channel, and that's Rod of Herb and Rod's podcast. These guys are great. I love talking to these guys. I've talked to them on their college show a couple times in the chat. So make sure you follow those guys. They're good guys. And I'm going to be going live at 9 p.m. tonight with the NFL Roundtable Talks, where we talk about all the teams, the injuries around the league, and stuff like that. But it is that time where I review. Exactly. I hear you, Herb. But it is time for me to go through the division standings, and I do it a little bit different than a lot of podcasts. I put my own twist on it. Herb and Rod, you might appreciate this. So let's go over the NFC North now. In fourth place, with a 4-6 record, oof, it's the Bears with a big FTP. We got the Packers at 7-3, 1-2 in the division, and in third place, fuck the Packers. In second place with an 8-2 record, 1-1 in the division, about to be 2-1 because they face the lowly Bears. They can get goal buckets, the Vikings. And atop the North with a 9-1 record, it is the mighty Lions, still kings of the North. I thought you guys would like that. Those are my fake sponsors of the show, is those little memes that we had made up. But now it's time to give homage to my real sponsor, the one that pays me for this commercial spot, and that is Brandon Service at the corner of South Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road, where in Flint. Flint, where the water's shit, but the tires are good. Stop in and check us out. Used tires starting at 45 bucks and up. New tires, call to get your quote, 810-233-8230. Talk to George, Red, or myself. New tires are delivered within 1 to 2 business days. If you mention the fact that you heard this ad on Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions from me, Smoking Jeremy B, you will get a discount when purchasing tires. I love doing this stuff, and it's a lot of fun. I love being able to break news. Yesterday, the funniest news broke is when Joe Douglas was fired at 12:10 yesterday afternoon, right after I started my live. I was like, "Oh man, I got nothing really." What? Oh, look, he's fired. I literally got to announce it 3 minutes after it happened, and that's why I love this one. Are there anyone on the Colts roster you're concerned with? Jonathan Taylor, uh, Anthony Richardson's scrambling ability, and Alex Pierce is starting to evolve and be better than Michael Pittman at the route running in his hands. And so those are key matchups we need to look at. I think it's Carry on Arnold on Alex Pierce and CD3 on Michael Pittman. But if they're crossing over the middle, they got to look out for smash and grab. Smash is Brian Branch because he crushes receivers over the middle, and grab is the guy leading the league in interceptions in Kirby Joseph. They announced it yesterday that that's their official nicknames on the team, smash and grab. So get used to it. I know everybody wanted something different, but that's what it is. And the way Brian Branch tackles, I get the smash thing. God, he hit hard. Love Brian Branch. But thank you for tuning in. Tune in tomorrow where I will do a deeper dive into the Lions statistics versus the Jaguars, and I'll get into a little more analytic side of it because I have been very pleased. He started out the year very handsy, but that's the same with almost every corner coming out of the college when they get to the pros. He had a 4-game stretch without a penalty. He had a penalty in the Texans game, one that might have been missed, but the ball was tipped, so it's questionable if he would even get called. So, but he didn't have any penalties this last game, really. Like, he had one on special teams, but it wasn't that big of a deal. So I appreciate what Terrion Arnold is doing and the depth he's become. I recorded the interview where I got to ask him a question uh, at the draft. I recorded Caleb Williams' interview. I recorded Darius Robinson interview, and I recorded Jaden Daniels' interview just for the ones I wanted to hear. And you know what, guys? Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Much love to everybody in the chat. Thank you to Herb and Raj for popping in the chat. Big Dan Davis, we appreciate you. King SJ, Fred, Moonscar. Didn't see Sarah this time. I don't know where she went. But